In this video, let's take a look at some of the defining sketches when you're creating a swept surface. Just like when you're creating a solid geometry sweep, you have to have a sketch profile that is in 2D. It's not going to allow you to sweep a 3D sketch. Other than that, there are a lot of different freedoms associated with creating a swept surface. You no longer have to have a closed profile. If you try to sweep a solid geometry open profile, it's automatically going to create a thin feature. So now we have the option to create either open or closed profile sketches. Let's go ahead and start sweeping a few of these. If we want to select all of these to sweep at once, we have that available option. We can go ahead and sweep all the open and closed profiles along one path. You'll notice that the farther away from the path you get, the more exaggerated the result is. Think about this sketch as being radiated out. So normal to the profile of this sketch, you're going to extend out all the way to the intersection point of the profile you're sweeping. So that's important to note that your profile doesn't necessarily have to intersect either the edge or the center. When we get to talking about guide curves, that's where the intersection is going to be very important. But for your path, you have a lot of freedom with the path. Let's go ahead and clear these selections, and let's take a look at just one instance. If you want to select just one instance in this sketch, you can right-click and go to the Selection Manager. Let's take a look at this spline, for instance. We want to sweep this spline along this path right here. So I'm going to right-click, go to my Selection Manager, and select both of these instances. Now, even though that has a sharp corner, it still allows me to sweep it along that profile. You can do things after the fact, such as fill at the intersection corner, or go back and trim and do a few other things. So this is a very handy tool to know that you can sweep not only smooth profiles that have tangency, but you can also sweep edges that have sharp corners in them, because a lot of times you might have an instance like this. So let's take a look at what other things will work and what other things won't work. So if we have a sketch such as this that is not on the same plane as any of our paths or profiles, you might think that this could cause an issue. So let's take a look and try to sweep this. We're going to take this circular profile that's on a plane that's 1.5 inches above the intersection of any of these. And then we want to go to our Selection Manager, and we want to just sweep it along this path. So you notice that it's producing some issues, but it's still actually working. Let's take a look at another path. Selection Manager, let's grab this path and hit OK. So you notice again, it's producing some interesting results, but it's still actually working. The only time that you're going to get an error when you're trying to sweep a profile along a path is if the path does not intersect the plane at all. For instance, this sketch right here is below any of the intersection points of our paths. So if we go to sweep this along any of these paths, we're going to get an error because they don't intersect. So you can see here the rebuild error says that an open path, the path must intersect with the section plane. So that's one of the only restrictions that you're going to run into when you're trying to create these.